This is part 2 of the Practical Precautions talk. So if you've not listened to part 1, I would strongly recommend that you do that, or just flat out not listen to this one, because we're just going to pick up where we left off, and it's going to come out of left field. It's not really going to work without having listened to the part 1. So in any case, laughter has been the technique which has been most effective and always reliable as a means of keeping madness at bay. And that might not work for everybody, right? What works for me about laughter is that it can contain a paradox, right? You can laugh at something and also be kind of crying at that thing within the laugh, right? We all know what a bitter laugh sounds like. So, that's why laughter worked for me, was because whatever crazy revelation I was being given, or whatever crazy experience I was having, I was able to not go crazy because I could laugh, and in that moment of laughter, whatever the paradox was would be resolved, or I would be able to express my absolute, in that laugh, I would be able to express my absolute, surprise, or awe, or humiliation, or whatever it was that I felt as a result of what my magical practice was opening my eyes up to. But whatever it is, it's important to take some time to really think about something concrete that you think is going to, or that you choose will be your, what's the thing that you're going to will is going to be your bulletproof vest that will ricochet the bullet of insanity off of you. Well, you got to find what works for you, but I would try and find something that seems in alignment with an aspect of yourself that's been a part of you for a very long time. That's why laughter worked for me, was because of the comedy thing. It's just such a part of my personality, my specific sense of humor. And so, but it could be, a certain kind of music, right, that's just going to help you shake off insanity or feelings of going insane, or whatever. Or it could even be a cigarette, but you have to, you got to be careful with something like that, because that's something you do in other contexts just to ease stress or whatever. And I'm telling you, we're not just talking about stress here. We're not even just talking about, imagine the highest levels of stress that a human can experience, right? Like when, I don't know, just nothing is working out in their life and everything is being taken away from them, and they feel absolutely crushed and stepped on and cruelly abused by reality itself. Take that feeling of stress, and what magic is going to, or can at least, if you want to go really far with it, if you want to become really powerful, then you have to understand that, and there's nothing wrong, by the way, with just trying to be powerful enough to manifest whatever changes you had in mind, right? There's absolutely nothing wrong with that, because infinity is infinite, and so you can go as deep and as far with this and as far out as you want to go. There's no 100%, there's no extra credit. There's just however far you want to go. And so Anyway, but if you are trying to go pretty far out, and if you are trying to become pretty powerful, then, you're going to experience pressures and realities, and, it's just, your organism has only evolved, the brain of your organism has only evolved, in some sense, to know so much about what really lies beneath. And so the more you pull back that curtain and come to know certain things and see certain things, it can be hard. It can, the dimension or the plane in which you began can start to seem very far off indeed. And so you just got to be ready for that, and really try and, not just do something that is like a stress reliever, but pick something, a quick, little, simple, right? I just picked like a laugh, right? Something you can do, or maybe just pinch yourself, or whatever, I don't know, but whatever it is that's going to help snap you out of feelings of insanity. Because this is forbidden knowledge we're talking about. This is like black book stuff. And, everything you've ever thought about magic, in some sense, is true. It goes... boy. Look, there's a lot I could say here. I mean, what we might call the pop cultural understanding of magic is just the first layer or level or plane or whatever. So, don't read too much into this. But that thing that has always been part of the pop cultural association, which is like, there's a risk of losing your mind. That's totally legit. Let me just make that clear. That whole black book mentality is healthy in a way. Look, you don't need to be terrified or existentially afraid, or you don't need to, jump up out of your bed in the night at the thought of this. It's not like that. It's just that it's a real thing that works and actually bends reality and bends you, because you're part of reality. You're woven into the fabric of all things. And so what you don't realize when you get into it is you're gonna really, possibly very, very radically warp the inner structure of you. And in some sense, there is no way to manifest change and to start lifting the veil and tasting the forbidden fruit, the black fruit, without, there's no going back. That's all. And so, just be ready. Don't be afraid, but be ready and have your ace in the hole. So I don't know. Just think about that and choose what that's going to be for you. I don't know. Something that comes to mind is like Jimi Hendrix. He's got such an absurd Alice in Wonderland type lyricism to him, and the music is always changing. Psychedelic rock, I think, is strangely something that helps transmute the madness into something else, or take you into a different mental state or whatever, quicker. But just find your thing and have your reasons for that being your thing. And ideally it'd be something you'd have access to pretty much at all times. So sorry, I went on for a while there, but that's like a really important one of the practical precautions. So, okay. So where have we been and where are we going? So we talked a bit about being scientific, just so that you can, do this right and actually learn real things and not just, be blowing smoke up your own ass. You have to take a highly scientific experimental approach, or just to actually become more powerful and not just have the illusion of power and then end up in some situation where all of a sudden, you are shown that, just how wrong you were. So the laboratory mindset, that's number one. And then, number two, gotta be ready for it and ready to stave off madness. And then number three, kind of is just part of the first one. But I guess it's would be something like, don't speculate. Or theory is not your concern or your business or the business that you're about. You're about the experimental stuff. We'll leave, the theory to, I don't know, people who sit around in crystal shops, not actually manifesting any change. I'm not saying there's anything, I like crystal, I think they're kind of nice, and it's good vibes, but, it's there's people who are new agey, or philosophical, or maybe even highly academic, but they have an extreme, they don't have very much power. Their ability to actually manifest change in their life is nil. Most people with the mundane consciousness have basically zero manifestory capacity. They even their sense that they're controlling their body and their schedule, even from their own point of view, from that relative point of view of that lower level 1 or whatever of the higher states of higher consciousness, even from that, even by their own lights, it's if they were to examine it, they'd realize that they're god damn it, they're just frustrated at every turn. They're really not able to manifest the things that they want. Or if they are, it's just god damn, it costs an arm and a leg in time or energy. So anyway, so we don't want, that's not what we're about. That's not the business that we're about, right? Theory. We're about application and experimentation, because we want to become more powerful, actually, and more quickly and measurably, and we want to be able to separate false power from true power. And, it's come on, baby. We've got to be the ones to usher in a true new age. Not just an age of crystal shops and navel gazers, but a true new age in which, little school children know, just as a matter of common, received wisdom, common sense. They're just already aware of these practices, and they already have, all the power of a master magician. I mean, that's the world I'm shooting for. And you can join me in that if you want. But if you're going to, we got the only way to actually pull that off, and not just pat ourselves on the back for having the idea, but we have to be scientific. So anyway, the third practical precaution here is, so stay away from theory, speculation. Look, listening to podcasts, stuff like that is really great for helping you in theory and speculation and talking to people. Don't get it twisted. That stuff's great for helping you process your experiences and find different symbol sets that are going to help you, helping you find new paradigms by which to understand yourself and your existence. Maybe before you thought of yourself as a worker bee, and then at a certain stage you think of yourself as a bundle of energy. And it's okay, you might need to find some new terms to help you function with that new insight. And so, that stuff serves a purpose, but it's not going to really make you more powerful. It's just going to help you process. Just know the one from the other, I guess, is the third practical precaution. Try and cultivate a habit or develop a knack for being able to spot the difference between speculation and processing and interpretation versus when someone's talking about experimentation and things we can do to get better results from our experiments, or if their interpretation at the very least has less unnecessary elements or something like that, so stay focused and know the one from the other. And I think, there's a little bit more to say here. I mean, another reason you want to, get good at that is because it's going to help you not, like a thing that can happen is, like, you could have gotten more powerful than you are as a sorcerer, or a witch, and you stagnated and you didn't get more powerful, and you may even have slipped backwards in power, because you started inflating your ego, and the power went there to inflate the ego. It's like, so don't let that happen. And staying away from theory, or just knowing the difference between theory and practice, speculation and experimentation, will help, because then you'll realize, like, when you're talking to someone, like, oh, you know what? All this stuff we're talking about right now, we're actually just patting ourselves on the back for being better than other people, or being more conscious than other people, or knowing magic and other people not knowing it. It's like, no, you should have pity on those people. Those are the people we're trying to save. That's the reason we're doing our experiments, is so that we can become more powerful, figure out how this works, because it does. It's not just like like part of your image or your style. If that's what you're about, I'm not your guy. I'm trying to refine the method. I'm trying to figure this out and usher in a true new age, because again, this stuff works. We just have a lot more experimentation to do, because it's like we're like, Neanderthals who stumbled across an alien ray gun. We're not even like scientists now coming across an alien ray gun and having to figure out how it works. I've used that example in the past. It's like, God, it's even worse than that. We're Neanderthals. So we're at the very early stages of this thing, which is why we need to be extremely scientific and and not egotistical. We have to remember that, whatever we're doing here is the birthright of all human beings. This is what we actually are and what we're actually capable of. And so, to look at people who have a different religious philosophy, or a different spiritual practice, or a different manifestory technique, or they're just a normal, average dude who gives these things, no thought. We have to, not stay stuck in level 1 consciousness, thinking we're at like level 5, when really it's just like, you thinking that you're better than someone else. And instead of it being better than them because you wear, fancy clothes that cost a lot of money, now it's just you're thinking you're better than them because you have some magical power. Funny thing about simple people is they end up having more power than they even know and you even think. And you can end up with egg on your face real quick if you interact with them in a way where you think you're the magician man. It's like, no, dude. Your only thought should be, how do we keep doing this right? How do we keep thinking of this right? And how do we get this out there in whatever teeny tiny little ways and drips and drops we can, and in a way in which the world is going to accept it and have all the proof it needs. So yeah, just go, watch your ego, I guess, would be kind of part of that, spotting the difference between theory and practice thing. Because your own practice will educate you and will show you how much power you truly have. And there will be all these inversions along the way where suddenly everything flips and you realize that what you thought was power was actually a form of giving away your power, or a form of deceiving yourself. And so just knowing that that's going to happen in advance, you just got to watch your ego. Um, so you don't end up with egg on your face, right? Pride comes before the fall. So I think that's probably enough for now. Keep it scientific. Keep your experimental notes. Have that mindset, laboratory mindset. Have your ace in the hole. Be able to stave off madness. Something that at least has a really, decent chance of working. When that time comes, and then be careful with the speculation and the New Age philosophy and stuff. Good for processing, but it makes you feel a lot better than other people real quick, and it makes you think you're like doing magic when you're not. You're just talking about it. Anyway, food for thought, or at the very least, not the worst way of killing some time. More to come, for sure.